So the leaks and rumors are officially true. Sonic X Shadow Generations is officially on its way. Now, since this has been a leak and a rumor stating that Shadow is going to be making his way into the Sonic Generations remaster, there has been a lot of skepticism around this. And personally, I had a lot of skepticism going into this after seeing a lot of the leaks of seeing a Sonic Generations remaster at that. And that's what I want to actually go over in this video, is I want to go over my concerns and skepticism, but also the things I'm looking forward to inside of this remaster and also the Shadow portion of the game. And to start the video, I actually want to talk about the Generations remaster portion of this game, and I want to save the Shadow portion of it for the end of the video, as I have a lot more to say when it comes to Shadow. The first thing that I really want to state with the Generations remaster is I can't say that I'm really looking forward to the remaster portion of this, and this is coming from someone that plays it on the PC. As I've been playing Sonic Generations on my PC for a little over 5 years now, and every single time I have done so, I have always played with mods, and I don't really see how a remaster is going to look any better than the mods do. As I'm sure that people on the console versions of PS5 and Xbox are absolutely ecstatic to see a game run in 1080p 60 frames per second that they've completely loved over the last 10 years, I just don't really see how that's going to look any better than already what I'm used to. If anything, it's probably going to end up looking worse. And don't get me wrong, I love absolutely everything about Sonic Generations, and honestly is one of my favorite Sonic games at that, behind the adventure games. As I think it has some of the best level design and also some of the most nostalgic feeling to the game, and just so many great options to choose from inside of the game. I would even say that I enjoy classic Sonic stages, as I know that a lot of people hate on that. I just don't really see, especially from the trailer, and I mean this could be really early to say this, I just don't really see what the main difference is here. Now, people have been kind of deep diving into this trailer and have been noticing certain things that don't necessarily look better, but I don't think that we should be super nitpicky with the trailer quite yet, considering this game isn't out until fall, and this definitely could change a lot of things about the game. And a lot of people are noticing things like certain shadows and different buildings and different areas of the trailer that just look, honestly, pretty awful, or just exactly the same they looked on the old gen consoles. As I'm not really somebody that's going to personally complain about Sonic Shadow being pixelated in the game, but I will say if they can't get the Shadow right, I mean, are they going to be able to get the other stuff right in the game? And it truly makes me question what else could they really add to this remaster here, because it seems like Sonic Colors Ultimate, the only thing that they really ever added was just cosmetics to the game. And I mean, hey, cosmetics are sweet and super cool, and you could do some really cool style stuff with Sonic, but I don't really see how that's going to be a big $60 selling point. And that's another topic at that. I mean, I really don't think that this game should be anywhere near $60 at that. I mean, they completely unlisted Sonic Generations from Steam, and I can only imagine that they're going to list this thing for $60, and there's no reason that it should be $60 for a 10-year-old game. As for people like me that already have Sonic Generations on PC and Steam, are they expecting me just to pay $60 again for the same exact game that just looks slightly better? I don't really know what they're planning there. I would really like an option where I can just simply quote-unquote upgrade the game for, say, like $20 to $30. I really don't see myself justifying $60 for this game, but I mean, obviously I will for just the Shadow portion of this game. I just really hope that they decide to, you know, give us an upgrade option for people that already have the standard Generations game. Another thing that you could do is you could add some stages to this game, considering that the game ended at Sonic Colors in the actual story of the game. You could add some stages from the likes of Sonic Lost World, Sonic Forces, or even Sonic Frontiers. Now, I don't know how they would necessarily do Frontiers considering it's an open world game, but they could potentially add like a cyberspace stage or two. That could be really cool, or they could even do Sonic Dream Team. And yes, I get that they could probably do something from Boom Rise of Lyric. I just don't think that makes any sense in the playstyle of it, and I don't think anybody wants to see anything from that game ever again. Another really cool one would be Sonic Superstars. It'd be really cool to see them kind of, you know, redo a Sonic Superstars game for classic Sonic, but also to see what it would look like in 3D for a modern Sonic type stage. I think this could be a really cool way to kind of necessarily, you know, add some additional content to the game. I don't think they need to necessarily add it into the story, but maybe just something that you unlock after you beat the Time Eater in the remaster. Another thing would be updating a lot of the Red Star achievements, as well as you unlock different artwork and also a lot of music inside of the stage. And honestly, this is one of my favorite features inside of Sonic Generations. To be able to switch City Escapes theme to I Am All of Me, Live and Learn, Open Your Heart is really cool, and I'd really like to see them feature some other stuff from the likes of Sonic Frontiers. Adding I'm Here or Undefeatable and stuff like that would be absolutely awesome to run through stages with those amazing sweet tracks. Kind of going back to cosmetics really quick here, I do think that it would be a really cool feature and also something you could add to the Omochao shop inside of the game. It'd be really cool to add, you know, the soap shoes or potentially other past stuff from Sonic's past. I think this would be kind of the perfect remaster to add a lot of cool cosmetics, even adding, you know, different upgrades that Sonic has achieved in the past from the adventure games, you know, maybe adding Excalibur or different stuff that you've seen inside of the game, or even potentially adding different super transformations for him as well. I mean, that's such a big thing in the modding community to add different characters, different transformations that Sonic has had in the past. It'd be really cool to see them add that. Now, I know that's a really big expectation, so I definitely do not expect them to do anything like that with adding new transformations and stuff like that, but I think adding stuff like soap shoes is kind of a give me for them, as I think that'd be a big reason a lot of people would buy the game, just to simply have Sonic in soap shoes. I mean, I remember when Frontiers came out, I almost refused to play the beginning of Frontiers until I got my soap shoe code. And I think for people that might not be Sonic fans, that might sound absolutely insane just to change up Sonic's shoes, but the soap shoes are just so damn cool, and they're definitively, in my opinion, the best Sonic shoe. But ultimately, it would be really cool to not only see cosmetics for modern Sonic, but also classic Sonic as well, as it would kind of be cool to see a more modernized, or possibly even look like more like Toy Sonic, or even just more of an iteration of Sonic 1 version, as I think there could be a lot of cool options for classic Sonic and modern Sonic in that sense. I don't know if there necessarily needs to be an option for Shadow, as it's kind of unheard if he's actually going to be playable in the main version of the game, as it sounds like it's going to be completely different side of the actual remaster. Very similar to that we're used to with Sonic Forces and Episode Shadow, it sounds like it's going to be a completely different version of the game, or very similar to people are comparing it to is Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, as it is a completely different mode in the game and it has nothing to do with the actual Generations remaster. Another few things that might be cool for the remaster that I would kind of like them to see them add is maybe some of the 3DS stages, as if you don't know, the 3DS stages actually had completely different stages than the actual console version of the game. But the likes of running through Emerald Coast, Radical Highway, or also even the Bio Lizard for that fact, it was really cool to kind of see them implement different stages in the 3DS version than the console version. Now, I don't think that you need to necessarily make everything 3D for the modern Sonic side of it, as I think you just need to kind of upscale it and make it look decently for a PC or just a console game, and I think you'd be good at that, as it would just kind of be a cool bonus to allow people to run through the 3DS version, the people that have never been able to play that version, including myself, as I have never truly touched the 3DS version, but I've always been interested because of the different stages. And I saw this one on Twitter, and I apologize if I can't find the original post, as I don't remember where I saw it, but I saw a thing where they had the Genesis thing in Green Hill, where it basically allows you to play through all of Sonic 1. Someone had stated it would be really cool if they allowed you to play through all of the original Shadow the Hedgehog game from the GameCube in 2005. I think that would be such a cool little detail with adding Shadow and everything like that, and allowing us just to go there to play the entire game. And truly, honestly, giving us our first and only port of PC or even just modern consoles of Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, I definitely do not expect them to implement the entire game of Shadow the Hedgehog inside of Sonic Generations, but it would just be a really cool thing to see. And honestly, it'd probably be one of the only reasons I'd ever play Shadow the Hedgehog completely 100% all the way through is if they added it in Generations. But again, that's a extreme expectation, and I don't think that they'll do that, but I mean, hey, it'd be kind of a cool Easter egg to add, considering how much Shadow's going to be involved in this. The last thing that I really want to talk about before I jump over to Shadow's portion of the game is I really hope that Shadow is playable in all of these stages. Very similar that we were kind of used to in Sonic Forces, as after completing Episode Shadow, you were able to run through all of modern Sonic stages in Sonic Forces. Well, most of them for that fact. For story purposes, they didn't allow you to run through every single stage with Shadow inside of modern Sonic stages, but I really hope that they decide to do this in Generations. As it seems like Shadow doesn't have a super different moveset from Sonic, but it seems like he has a different enough moveset, as it would be really cool to kind of see running through these stages and different ways to be able to clear the stages because of how different he is. And being able to use the different skills and possibly even transforming into Super Shadow if that's a thing inside of this game, I think that'd be a really cool way to actually allow players to actually go back and completely play through all of the game again. As I think that if Sega plays their cards right, this could easily become the most replayable Sonic game there is. As Generations is already replayable as it is, adding Shadow to it and also allowing him to use all the skills and everything like that, I think that would make for a perfect replayability of the game. It's kind of ironic considering how unplayable this mess was. Now jumping over to Shadow the Hedgehog's portion of the game. Now, like I stated before, it sounds like Shadow's going to be a completely different version of the game. So I'd imagine from the main menu selection, you're just going to click on Episode Shadow or whatever they decide to call it, and you'll jump in over to Shadow's portion of the game. Now, like I was stating before, I was extremely skeptical of going into this, as it sounded like it was just going to be a simple of adding Shadow to the actual main Generations game, but they decided to go a completely different route, very similar to episode Shadow in Sonic Forces. I will say that the trailer actually caught me quite off guard, as I wasn't expecting much from this, as I just kind of expected Shadow to be more of a port over to the game and just adding more of an additional character to Generations. But I will say them doing the classic adventure pose and Shadow standing in the distance all edgy and emo and stuff, I was pretty excited to see this, and it instantly got me hyped just seeing Shadow once again in a playable game. And even at this point, I was still pretty skeptical of the game, but as soon as they flashed it over to what it seems like Final Chase, more modernized inside of Shadow's story, I instantly just lost all sense of skepticism right there. Because as soon as I saw this area in just a more modernized version of the arc, I absolutely lost my mind, and it looks so goddamn beautiful. As I was not expecting something like this, and it almost seems like we might be revisiting Shadow's past in this game. And if that is truly true, where we're more visiting Shadow's past, I think this could make for an absolutely awesome episode for him, and just a different chapter inside of the game. While it does seem like Shadow might be somewhat of a clone of Sonic, it does seem like he has different movesets inside of this actual trailer, with him absolutely blasting and teleporting and using Chaos Blast inside of the trailer. And you can also see in certain shots of the Bio Lizard, it almost seems like he's firing off a Chaos Spear, which would be super cool to see if we're actually able to use more Chaos abilities. That has always been something I've wanted to explore more, is Shadow's different Chaos abilities inside of the game. And I think that could be a big way to kind of separate him from Sonic and not making him seem like so much of a clone. It seems like a lot of these boss fights, or I mean at least the Bio Lizard boss fight, has a lot of cool different cinematics inside of the game, something that Generations actually kind of lacked of inside of the game, as Perfect Chaos or even the Death Egg Robot or Egg Dragoon didn't have a lot of cinematic endings to them. As these look super clean and super detailed as well, and it looks like a really cool way that we can show off different abilities with Shadow, as it seems like he might be using Chaos Control inside of a lot of these cinematics. And also the shot of one Black Doom returning, and also just the stage absolutely morphing and coming apart as he's running through inside of it. That just level design absolutely just blows my mind. Like, this looks so beautiful and so interesting. I cannot wait to run through whatever this stage is. This just looks incredible, and I am so damn excited to play through this. And going back to Black Doom, I don't think anyone had on their Sonic 2024 bingo card Black Doom returning this year. As I don't think anyone expected to see that silly little starfish man come back, as I'm pretty damn excited to see him, and I really hope that we see his big form as well. And I really hope that they decide to choose Sean Schemmel for this voice acting role, as it's pretty cool to see the voice actor most well known for Goku play Black Doom. As it also makes for some pretty funny moments inside of the Shadow the Hedgehog game, as Black Doom was just, I don't know, I think he's unironically just kind of funny with the way that he talks, but also some of the sentences he says, as I'm really excited to see if he'll be a big part of this game. Another really cool detail a lot of people are actually noticing inside of the trailer is before they transition over to the gameplay side of the trailer is they actually take a look inside of Shadow's eye to kind of transition it over. If you actually kind of take more of a detailed look and slow it down, it actually looks like that there is some of the Black Arm's eyes inside of him. As his eye looks very similar to Black Doom's in the trailer, with that kind of orange and yellowish aura around it when it kind of flickers in and out there. And if this is true, this could actually mean that Shadow's going to be using a lot more of his Black Arm's abilities as well, as it would be pretty damn cool to kind of have a gauge where kind of meeting up and blasting through the stage, or just seeing Shadow absolutely unleash the Chaos Blast again would be so cool to destroy a lot of the enemies in the way. Now, one thing I will say, and I hope they do not do this, is I do really hope that they do not do different sides of the story. I really hope that there is a hero side and a dark story, because last time we did that, it ended in absolute disaster and is the biggest reason I will probably never go back to Shadow the Hedgehog to begin with. Ultimately, I don't think it's that bad of a game, but the replayability that they make with that stuff is just absolutely just disgusting, and I don't want it again. But ultimately, this area just looks insane, and I'm really excited to see Black Doom back again. I'm really excited to see possibly the other characters that might be involved inside of Shadow's story. As if this is true that we're truly running through Shadow's past, as we see with the Final Chase and possibly what looks like a weird version of Radical Highway or even Westopolis, I think that this could be a really cool idea for Shadow, as we're running through more of his past, very similar to that classic and modern Sonic are doing. As I think that'd be a really cool way to implement a lot of his old stages if we're just running through his past again. With the likes of Sonic Adventure 2 adding Final Chase, it seems like, or possibly even Radical Highway, or even Shadow the Hedgehog here adding Westopolis. You could even do implementing from Sonic 06 like White Acropolis. There could be a lot of stages you could implement from Shadow's past. And ultimately, this wouldn't make it nearly as long as the original game, but I still think it would be really cool to kind of see all the different stages that they could potentially do. But I would still really like to see a more modernized new stage for Shadow, because obviously Shadow hasn't been playable in a bunch of games, so it'd be really cool to see them make a more new stage for him. And we also see Shadow fighting the Bio Lizard, implementing that boss fights are also going to be coming for him. I don't know if the Bio Lizard is necessarily the only boss fight that he gets, but I kind of doubt it at that, as I think the Bio Lizard is a great choice and it's really cool to see him return again inside of this. It just doesn't seem like he's going to be the only one inside of this game, as if they are truly going in the past and redoing a lot of Shadow stuff, this could basically mean that we could see the likes of a Black Doom boss fight, as he's already in this game, Bio Lizard, and even possibly the likes of like Mephiles inside of this. And if Mephiles is inside of this game, what a perfect way to implement him back inside of the Sonic games, as fans have been wanting him back for such a long time now, including myself, as I think Mephiles is one of the coolest and most badass villains. It also looks like this game is going to be coming out in autumn of 2024, as that is not that much time around the corner, so we could see more additional news about this game very, very soon at that. I will say I'm very skeptical of the game being extremely short, especially after the likes of Episode Shadow allowing us to run through, 3 or 4 stages. I really hope that they decide to add a lot of stages. I mean, at least 5 to 6 and possibly like 2 boss fights, and a really cool ending at that. I think it'd be really great to see Super Shadow make his return again, as one, I think Super Shadow is the coolest super form in the series, but also we just haven't seen him in so damn long. I know it might seem like I have a lot of expectations for both sides of the games with the Shadow game and also the Sonic game, but I will say that I'm very skeptical of the fact that I just don't understand how much is going to actually be adding into this game, and especially if this game intends to be $60 at that. I can't say that I would personally want to spend $60 if I wasn't a Sonic fan, right? And I think that's why I have such high expectations for this game, is I would really like to see Sega fully go all in and kind of add more stuff to this game, making it more of a true remaster. As graphics alone isn't going to just necessarily change this, as Generations 1 isn't that old of a game, but 2 already looks not that bad for old console games. And 3, for PC players, we're not going to really notice a difference, and there's no way Sega doesn't realize that Generations is the most modded Sonic game in the world, as there are mods that come out every single day to this day for this game. It's absolutely insane just to see how many mods are actually inside of this game, and how many mods continue to come out for this game, and just how in detail some of the people that make these mods, like, y'all are seriously just some of the most talented people I've ever seen in the entire world. Like, there's already like a real Shadow mod created by Ultimate Darkman that I would imagine is already going to be very similar to what we get inside of this. I mean, if you have a PC, you basically can already play this game for free. And I just have high expectations because I really want to see this game do really well, as I think adding cosmetics, different skills, new stages, and also adding a lot of Shadow content, I think that this game could do extremely well, and I really hope that Shadow is able to be played in the mainline story of the game, as I think that would add for such a cool replayable factor in the game. And the logo actually is pretty simple, but I honestly kind of really love this logo at that. I mean, adding the Sonic Generations and just putting Shadow's original logo in the middle there, and adding the like whole Black Arms Shadow logo inside of the O of it, it's just, I don't know, something about it just makes me really happy to see that return. And I understand that somebody probably could have just made this logo in Photoshop and just uploaded it to DeviantArt at that, but hey, I think this looks really cool, and something that's the simplicity of it just makes me really happy about it. And I truly cannot wait to see what Sega has in store for this game, as I truly think that we are in for something special inside of this game, and I can't wait to see what they fully do with this game. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, as I'm really interested to see what people think about this game, as it seems like the Sonic community is pretty diverse when it comes to how much they like or dislike this game, as it seems like a lot of people are still skeptical, but a lot of people are also really hyped for the game. And honestly, I'm kind of in the middle at this point, but hey, I'd really like to see what you guys have to see as well. And be sure to like the video and also subscribe, as it does help out the channel a lot, or Shadow will Chaos blast your house. I mean, he said it, not me.
You live an endless life forever. All the darkness, the dozens and